Okay, let's bring you our top story tonight. Rajesh and Nupur Talwar will walk free after 9 years of trial in the contentious and controversial Aarushi Talwar and Hemraj murder case. Several botched up investigations and unanswered questions remain. India's biggest murder mystery remains unsolved even after 9 years. The Allahabad High Court today said the proof against the Talwars was only circumstantial, not enough to hold them guilty of killing their daughter Aarushi and their domestic help Hemraj. It's our top story tonight.
I'm emotionally drained by by hearing the news and unable to even talk about it further.
जो injustice हो रहा था राजेश और नूपुर के साथ, वो एक समाप्त हुआ एक chapter हमारी life में.
A long wait followed by words of relief. However, what began with the death of 14-year-old Aarushi Talwar on the morning of 16th of May 2008 remains unresolved. What we do know is this: there isn't enough evidence which can nail the Talwar couple. The day began with information emerging from Allahabad High Court that the judgment would be declared by 2:45 p.m. Nearly 700 kilometers away in Ghaziabad's Dasna jail, where the couple has been lodged since November of 2013, the dentist couple prayed and then sat eagerly before the television. At 2:55 p.m, the announcement of their acquittal was reported. As the jailer later told us, the Talwars were weeping with joy.
What was the reaction of the Talwars immediately after the acquittal?
He is very well. He is very well, and he is satisfied with judgment.
Sir, when will they be released?
So long as the judgment we will receive judgment from High Court, then we will released.
The Talwar couple will walk out of the Dasna jail after the prison officials formally get a copy of the High Court's order. The CBI has the next 6 months to decide if it wants to appeal against the Talwar's acquittal in the Supreme Court now. Let's now look at how the case fell apart. In addition to basing its judgment on circumstantial evidence, the lower court also relied on aspects like the conduct of the parents to establish what it saw as their guilt. However, the Allahabad High Court rejected most of this. It highlighted the fact that there were multiple theories on the motive of the crime, while different probes offered contradictory findings on murder weapon and the chain of events. It also demolished the prosecution's case against the conduct of the parents.
The Allahabad High Court today has clarified that merely on the basis of conjecture, possibilities and probabilities, a person cannot be convicted under IPC 302. The guilt in any case, in any circumstance, has to be established beyond a reasonable doubt. And that indeed hasn't happened in the case of Talwar. The Aarushi murder case, the mystery continues. Who killed her? Today, Allahabad High Court has given the dentist couple benefit of doubt, which means that there is indeed some evidence which talks about the fact that they could have been involved in the murder, but the investigating agencies have not been able to establish guilt. The chain of causation is not established, it remains unbroken, marred by a lot of conjectures and possibilities, which clearly works in the favor of the accused.
The road to acquittal for Talwars has been a long one, full of twists and turns. While the investigators, including the Noida police and the CBI, have held the Talwars as suspect, their failure to produce conclusive proof has led to the case hitting a dead end once again.
As the moment comes closer when the Talwars will emerge free from the prison, 9.5 years to the day when Aarushi and Hemraj were found murdered, the joke is clearly on the investigators. With the High Court's ruling, no one is accused of the double murder any longer. With Shivendra, Anusha and Abhishek, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, the Aarushi and Hemraj murder case has seen many twists and turns over the last decade. Let's just take a look at how the investigation of this gruesome double murder was botched up.
9 years and multiple probes later, India's most talked about murder mystery remains unsolved. The question, if not Talwar's, who killed Aarushi is yet to be answered. May 16, 2008. 14-year-old Aarushi Talwar, daughter of dentist couple Rajesh Talwar and Nupur, was found dead with her throat slit in her room at their house in Noida on May 16, 2008. The investigation right from word go was botched up. The Noida police suspected Talwar's servant Hemraj was the killer and launched a manhunt. May 17, 2008. The case turned on its head the very next day when Hemraj's body was found on the terrace above Talwar's residence. It was evident the police hadn't done a thorough study of the crime scene. May 23, 2008. 5 days later, Rajesh Talwar was arrested for double murder. The UP police made a dramatic claim about Talwar's involvement in a press conference that made headlines for the insensitive way it was handled while suggesting Aarushi had an intimate relationship with Hemraj.
15 तारीख को जब वो बाहर गए थे, जब वो वापस आए तकरीबन 11 साढ़े 11 बजे, उस समय उन्होंने ऐसी हालत में देखा उनको जिसमें उनको अच्छा नहीं लगा। किसको? डॉक्टर राजेश को, नाम तो मैं ले रहा हूँ। डॉक्टर राजेश हेमराज को समझाने के बहाने ऊपर ले गया छत पर। आरुषि और हेमराज। उसके बाद हेमराज का कत्ल छत पर किया गया।
May 31, 2008. Soon the CBI took over the investigation. A team under Officer Arun Kumar took charge and the attention turned to the servants. June 13, 2008. The first arrest by the CBI came on June 13th. Talwar's compounder Krishna is taken into custody. 10 days later, a servant of Talwar's doctor friend Rajkumar and the domestic help of Talwar's neighbor Vijay Mandal was arrested.
Krishna came first. He consumed alcohol. Then Vijay Mandal came and Rajkumar came. They consumed alcohol and discussed about Aarushi, and they entered in the room of Aarushi. She got up and tried to scream. She was gagged and she was first hit by a hard, blunt object.
By now, the country is hooked to the investigation. Theory after theory played out on television channels and newspapers, ably helped by the investigators who were clueless about the motive. Narco-analysis was conducted on the servants but was inadmissible in court. Initial forensic reports said Hemraj's blood was found on a pillow recovered from compounder Krishna's house, but it was dismissed as a typo later. It became evident the CBI too had failed miserably. Arun Kumar was shunted out and a new team under AJ Kaul took over the investigation. December 20, 2010. They went about the process for 2 years and then filed a closure report on December 20th, 2010, saying Rajesh Talwar remains the main suspect, but there was no evidence to prove his hand in the murder. February 9th, 2011. The Ghaziabad Special Court didn't buy the CBI's arguments. It rejected the closure report and ordered trial. November 26, 2013. The trial took 2 years and at the end of it, the Talwars were pronounced guilty and sent to life imprisonment. The ruling was based on circumstantial evidence. There was no clarity on the murder weapon. The chain of evidence couldn't be established. The court was walking on thin ice. The acquittal by the High Court leaves the question wide open once again. Who killed Aarushi and Hemraj? Will they ever be caught? The chances of Aarushi and Hemraj getting justice look bleaker than ever. Bureau Report, India Today.
Tonight, has justice been really done to Aarushi and Hemraj? The questions I want to raise. If the parents didn't kill Aarushi, who are the real killers of Aarushi and Hemraj? Why did 2 CBI reports give such contrarian views? How many people were in the Talwar home on that fateful night? Was the Aarushi case driven by media and public perception? Who botched up the investigation and how? And who will pay the price for a lost decade for the Talwars? These are some of the questions I will raise tonight. Nalini Singh, senior journalist, is someone who has tracked this case because she had provided evidence in the context of this case. Also joining me is Uday Sahai, former IPS officer. Shantanu Sen, former Joint Director CBI. CBI has much to answer. Tanveer Ahmed Mir, defense lawyer for the Talwars, and Aviruk Sen, author Aarushi, with us. We'll also be joined by Meghna Gulzar, who did a film on it later in the show. But I want to come to you, Tanveer Ahmed Mir, today to understand for our viewers, would it be right to say that the benefit of the doubt has been given to the Talwars, therefore the court is not pronouncing one way or the other whether they actually murdered their daughter, but saying the evidence before them was purely circumstantial, and therefore on the basis of that you cannot sentence them to life imprisonment? Would that be a clear understanding of the court ruling?
No, Rahul, I must correct you there. I led the Talwar trial in the trial court, in the appeal as well. I was there in the court today on the front seat to receive the verdict, whatever way it comes. In this case, both the honorable judges have written two separate judgments showing their own inclination in this case. And when operative portion of the judgment was read out in the court, the honorable judges very categorically said that from the complete analysis of entire evidence that was led before the learned trial court, we find that the appellants were innocent of the crimes alleged against them. We allow their appeals, and if they are not wanted in any other case, they be released forthwith. Therefore, the acquittal of my clients is not on some platform of benefit of doubt. My clients have been exonerated honorably. So you're saying... I firmly believe when I took this trial that my clients were innocent.
No, you're saying, Tanveer Ahmed Mir,
my clients, Rajdeep, were innocent, are innocent, and will remain innocent.
So are you saying that the court is very clear that there is...
I'm saying that my clients have been honorably exonerated. Yes.
You're saying they have been honorably exonerated. Aviruk Sen, author of the book Aarushi, you were also in the court at the time. Is that how you would interpret it, an honorable acquittal? Or is there still the benefit of doubt argument that is being raised in this case? That means there is still this feeling that the evidence that has been provided was simply not enough.
Rajdeep, if we go down the route that the CBI now seems to be taking, now that it's lost in the Allahabad High Court, then nobody can be acquitted. Because in a court of law, what matters is evidence. If you don't have the evidence, you cannot get a conviction. You can get it when there is less scrutiny of that evidence, like the gross miscarriage of justice that happened in the Ghaziabad court, where the CBI basically had the run of that pitch. They were able to manipulate, forge, tutor, swap, and do pretty much anything they wanted to do without being asked a single question by the judge. Unfortunately for them, this honorable court posed exactly the questions that Shamlal and Ghaziabad didn't. And the CBI came up short, woefully short. So the emphatic way in which they were convicted, I think should tell you something about how this system works and why these judges had to go into so many details about, so many questions as to the evidence itself and what was there against the Talwars.
The
so,
question,
this spun of fantasy which came apart in Allahabad.
So therefore the question marks really today exist for the CBI, because you've had Shantanu Sen, two top CBI officers.
I was about to say,
the real question marks, Shantanu Sen, come really for the CBI today. I'll come back to you, Aviruk, in a moment. But I just want to get Shantanu Sen to respond to what you've said, that the CBI today has in a way found its reputation being seriously questioned by a top court. Two CBI investigations giving two entirely different verdicts without really enough evidence to support it.
Well, CBI is in the back gear today, there's no doubt about this. But if you recall, after the CBI took over the case, and that was much later, and when they took over the case later, the signs of evidence being tarnished, tampered with, were always there. CBI did what they could do. They did all the tests, the forensic tests, the narcotic tests, and they did detailed scrutiny of the evidence collected by UP police, and ultimately did come to the conclusion that whatever they had may point to the parents, but they were not willing to go for a trial. You have to concede that CBI did not want to send the case for a trial. The mistake which the CBI made, and I think it's a blunder, that after the special court decided to reject the closure case, CBI should have appealed against that order and gone to the High Court. CBI should not have surrendered to the wrong order of the special court. We have done that in the past.
Yes.
When there is a wrong order passed by the special court, you have a relief, and the relief is by going to the higher court. By not going to the higher court and by abjectly accepting the pronouncement of the special court, which was totally wrong, CBI has landed itself in a soup.
But
the criticism is well merited.
Therefore,
Therefore,
the CBI, because today this case, in a sense, will raise a question mark over policing. It will raise a question mark over investigative agencies. It will raise a question mark over the media. The sensationalization, Nalini Singh, the manner in which this case played out. The CBI is in the dock today. The media is in the dock in the manner. Even today, there are news channels playing the narco tests, which allegedly were responsible for Krishna, the servant, being held responsible, when narco tests are clearly inadmissible. So even today we are playing the game of sensationalism. So I'm just wondering, are we all today in a way in the dock, or is it simply one of those cases where we don't know who really did it?
Rajdeep, I'm going to take you away from all of us in the dock, because this is then going to let us go free. The media showed its most shameful face during the Aarushi double murder, Hemraj double murder, and we have been going more or less downhill. The slide started then. I mean, it was stark then.
No, but are we responsible for it? Or are the police officers who did these press conferences one day blaming the parents, next day saying they have evidence against Krishna? Should we blame the police, or should we, the media, be responsible?
Do we need the protection of some other person to use our brains? Where are our brains and where is our morality? Why did we fall for this honor theory on the second day? Now, I'm just saying to you, Rajdeep, it's very easy for us to say that, the police leaked. So why did we pick up those leaks and why did we not discredit them at that time? So many of us were saying that. Now these are to be discredited. The second thing is, the media showed its most shameful face. The second is the CBI. Its credibility and integrity is not something that I could now stand by at all. This is scary. This is scary that the CBI, one team can come up with one conclusion, and for the same evidence and the same two murders, the second team comes up with a bipolar other conclusion. And the third thing is, your question was, were there 4 people in the house? Your question number 3.
The question is, because those who really, when it was suggested that Mr. Rajesh Talwar was the prime suspect, it was on the basis that there were only 4 people in the house, Aarushi, Hemraj and the parents.
So Rajdeep,
but you have another theory.
I don't have a theory. I actually have fact that there were 7 people in that house, and I'm not saying it, I'm nobody in this, that the CBI came to me. The inspector who came was Anuj Arya. He came and said that on the basis of what was playing on our Nepali channel between 11:45 p.m. and about 12:45 a.m. on that night of 15th, 16th, that he pinpointed, tell me what song this is, when we showed him the playlist. And he said, oh, this is the song. How does it go? So my Nepali colleague sang it. He said this was exactly what Rajkumar was humming. And Rajkumar said that 4 of us were in Hemraj's room. So it's not as if there were 4 people and 2 killed 2. There were 7 people and 2 got killed.
So you're saying the second CBI team disregarded this evidence?
Yes, and why?
They disregarded the fact that you were told that there were more than 4 people, there were 3 other servants in the room, they were drinking at that moment, so you went therefore by the theory that it could have been the servants. My point is, how can 2 CBI teams, I'll come back to you, how can 2 CBI and police teams come to such varying conclusions? What does it show about the way a major investigation, Mr. Saha, is conducted? Mr. Gurdarshan Singh, who I played, the police officer, within a day of the crime comes and says he believes there was an intimate relationship between, or hinted at an intimate relationship between this girl and Hemraj. My point is, how did he come to that conclusion right away? What does it say about our police?
Well, it badly reflects on police as a whole. Not just CBI, also the local police, but more so CBI, because there is a credibility of CBI that what local police cannot do, CBI can do and do it better. Now in this particular case, the gentleman in the stage 1, the local police posted up not only in terms of not being able to protect the scene of crime, but also not being able to scientifically collect evidence which had a huge implication on the case till date. That's one. The second bit was that prematurely they went on announcing before the media without even collecting the evidence properly, even if they had truth.
Because the evidence was destroyed. The entire crime scene was destroyed. People were trampling over the crime scene. I mean, what does it say about the way the court, and there is the other argument, that the court, and Abhirukh Sen, you reflect this in your book, that the court in a sense, the police in a sense, was influenced by what was going on around them. That there was almost as if there was this, at one level, a class bias, that the Talwars must have done it. These are these upper middle class parents who don't treat their daughter properly. And there was the other view, which suggested that the servants did it. So, do you believe at one level, the way the media played it, influenced the way the police, and dare I say even the courts, looked at this case?
Is that question to me, Rajdeep?
Yes, Abhirukh.
Well, if it is to me, yeah. If it is to me, then I have to sort of argue. Agree with you wholeheartedly. That's really what happened. It was a wag the dog kind of situation. And it came in a media environment, I think, in the mid-2000s, when people were increasingly looking for validation rather than value in how they consume media. They were looking for, rather than information, a confirmation of their worldview. That was the environment then. And let's not forget, the police is not outside of society. Judges aren't outside of society. Everybody gets influenced to an extent. Everybody needs validation in some way. And you had a pretty little circle of investigators leaking stories which appeared in the media, made them look more real, and slapping themselves on the back because of having created this perception about the Talwars. So this happened.
And no, but were the Talwars,
one of the things that I would like to talk about a little bit.
Were the Talwars a victim of public perception, or do the Talwars also have much to answer for?
Yes, one of the things that struck me about this story is that, in this country, perception seems to trump proof, and that is highly problematic. Even today, after the judgment is done and dusted, there are people getting up and saying that, well, there couldn't have been more people in the flat, that the injuries were surgically done. I mean, this is bizarre. All of this has been discredited fully, and yet people want to continue with what they believe. That's how we are, is all that I'd say. And you know, as media people, I think we should take at least a little bit of the blame for this. The second thing I want to say is that, you know, the crimes that were committed, as in the murders, are only one part of it. How about crimes such as tampering with evidence, tutoring witnesses, manipulating forensic records? These are crimes as well. And these crimes were committed by officers of the CBI during the course of this trial. What happens to those crimes? Do we just let them go? That's a question that I always ask.
I'm going to get Shantanu Sen to respond to that. What about the manner in which witnesses were allegedly tutored, in the manner in which evidence was doctored? But respond to this perception versus truth point. Do you also believe that this case was driven by public perception, not necessarily by hard evidence, Nalini Singh? And then I'll get Shantanu Sen to respond. Yes.